Picture this. You're wandering the paths of your local garden centre one crisp spring morning, the kind where the sun filters through the greenhouse glass and everything feels full of promise. Your hands brush against glossy leaves and bright petals, and suddenly you spot it. A plant that seems to call out, perfect for that bare spot by the patio or the sunny window in your living room. It looks so innocent, so full of life, the sort of thing that could turn an ordinary backyard into a little slice of paradise. But what if I told you that tucked among those tempting choices sits something whose single leaf could set off a chain of events no gardener ever wants to face? Not a scare tactic, just the quiet truth we sometimes overlook when we're dreaming of blooms and greenery. As a fellow gardener sharing thoughts from the soil, I've spent more seasons than I can count coaxing life from the earth in small plots across temperate corners of the world. Here in the United States and throughout Europe, we home gardeners chase the same joys: vibrant cottage borders, pollinator-friendly nooks, and houseplants that make our indoor spaces feel like extensions of the outdoors. We compost, we mulch, we choose organic methods because the soil beneath our feet matters more than quick fixes. Yet every year I hear stories from neighbours and fellow plot holders about plants bought in good faith that later bring worry, especially when curious pets or little ones are part of the family. That's why I want to walk with you through some of the most alluring yet risky plants you might encounter at the nursery, not to frighten but to help us all garden with eyes wide open, choosing beauty that truly nourishes rather than endangers. Let's begin where so many of us start. The backyard border, that sunny stretch where we plant shrubs and hedges hoping for privacy, colour, and a touch of the exotic. One that often catches the eye is Oleander. Picture tall, graceful stems lined with narrow, leathery leaves, the deep green of summer olives, topped by clusters of trumpet-shaped flowers in shades of pink, crimson, or creamy white. In warmer zones across the southern United States or the Mediterranean-like climates of southern Europe, it thrives with almost no fuss, drought-tolerant, quick to establish, and capable of transforming a plain fence line into something that feels straight out of a Tuscan hillside. Gardeners love it for exactly those reasons. It blooms through the heat of July and August when other plants start to flag, and its scent carries on the evening breeze. But here's where the soil story turns cautionary. Every single part of oleander holds compounds called cardiac glycosides, powerful enough that even a handful of clippings tossed into a compost pile or left on the lawn after pruning can spell trouble. A child exploring the garden might pluck a leaf out of curiosity, or a dog chasing a ball could chew on a fallen branch. The result can range from stomach upset and irregular heartbeat to far more serious effects if help isn't swift. I remember a neighbour in a warmer part of Spain who lost a beloved old dog after some hedge trimmings blew into the yard during a summer storm. It wasn't dramatic at first, just a bit of vomiting, but by the time the vet pieced it together, the damage was done. In cooler northern zones, we see less of it outdoors, yet it still shows up in pots on patios during the growing season. If oleander's tropical charm draws you in, there are kinder companions waiting. Consider hibiscus instead, especially the hardy varieties that shrug off winters in USDA zones 5 through 9, or the equivalent milder spots in the UK and Northern Europe. These bring the same bold, saucer-sized blooms in fiery reds and pinks, but without the hidden burden. Plant them in well-drained soil enriched with your own homemade compost, give them a sunny spot, and watch bees and butterflies flock to the nectar. Pair them with lavender at the base for a fragrant hedge that supports pollinators and deters a few common pests naturally. Come autumn, the spent blooms feed the soil as mulch, closing the loop in a way that feels right for any sustainable plot. Moving along the border to those spots where we crave height and drama without the drama of risk, another familiar face appears in the flower beds: Foxglove. Tall spires rise like living candelabras, each stem crowded with bell-shaped blossoms in soft purples, pinks, and creams that nod gently in the breeze. In cottage gardens from the Pacific Northwest to the rainy hills of Ireland, they self-seed with cheerful abandon, filling gaps and drawing hummingbirds on misty mornings. They're biennials, so you sow once and enjoy their quiet magic year after year, especially in dappled shade where many other flowers struggle. Yet beneath those fairy tale bells lies a chemical legacy known as digitalis glycosides. In tiny measured medical doses, related compounds have helped hearts for centuries, but in the wild plant the balance is delicate and unforgiving. A toddler mistaking a bloom for a plaything or a curious cat batting at the leaves can experience nausea, vision changes, or a racing, irregular pulse. I once helped a friend in a temperate English garden who had foxglove seeding everywhere near her toddler's play area. We spent a gentle afternoon pulling the rosettes before they flowered, replacing them with safer vertical accents. It's a common enough mix-up in early summer when the garden is bursting and attention wanders. For that same upright elegance and pollinator pull, turn instead to snapdragons. These sturdy annuals or short-lived perennials come in every shade from sunny yellow to deep burgundy, blooming from early summer right through the first frosts in many zones. Sow them in spring after the last chill, tuck them into rich, moist soil, and they'll stand tall without any toxic undertones. Mix in some cosmos nearby for a cottage feel that butterflies adore, and you'll have cut flowers for the table all season long. In cooler European summers, they hold their colour longer than many heat lovers, giving you weeks of dependable charm. Now let's step inside, because so many of us bring the garden into our homes during the darker months. Houseplants have become everyday companions, softening city flats in Berlin or cosy living rooms in Chicago. One that shows up everywhere is Dieffenbachia, often called dumb cane for reasons you'll soon understand. Its broad, paddle-shaped leaves are a study in contrast, deep green centres splashed with creamy white or golden variegation that glow under indoor light. It tolerates the lower light of north-facing windows and asks little beyond occasional watering, which is why nurseries stack them high in the tropical plant section. The trouble hides in those handsome leaves as microscopic crystals of calcium oxalate. When a leaf is chewed by a teething baby exploring the coffee table or a cat stretching up for a nibble, those crystals act like tiny needles, causing intense burning, swelling of the mouth and throat, and sometimes enough discomfort to make speaking or swallowing difficult for a time. It's not usually life-threatening with quick care, but it's startling and painful. Poison control lines in both the US and Europe hear these calls more often than you'd guess, especially around the holidays when plants get moved for guests. I've swapped stories with gardeners who learned the hard way after a new kitten discovered the plant's appeal on a windowsill. Thankfully, the lush tropical look doesn't require compromise. A parlor palm or Boston fern offers the same graceful green presence with zero worry. Parlor palms forgive dry indoor air and low light, thriving in the same compost-rich potting mix you already make at home. Boston ferns love a bit more humidity. Mist them on dry winter days or set the pot on a pebble tray and they'll cascade beautifully from a hanging basket. Both clean the air gently and invite a sense of calm without the risk. Tuck a spider plant nearby for extra air purifying company and you've built a safe indoor jungle that even the most curious pet can explore. Another indoor favourite that blurs the line between house and patio is the Sago Palm. It looks like a miniature tree from some faraway island, with a thick, textured trunk and a crown of stiff, feathery fronds. In warmer American zones or sheltered Mediterranean gardens, it grows happily outdoors in a large pot, but many bring it inside for year-round greenery. Nurseries promote it as low-maintenance and architectural, the sort of plant that makes a statement without demanding much water. Yet every part, especially the seeds, carries psychocin, a toxin that targets the liver. Pets, dogs in particular, seem drawn to those fallen seeds like small treasures, and even a modest nibble can lead to vomiting, lethargy, and in severe cases, liver damage that requires intensive care. I know of a gardener in Florida who lost a young Labrador after the dog found a seed under the patio table. The emergency vet bills and heartbreak lingered long after. In cooler climates, we see fewer outdoor plantings, but the potted versions still travel home in shopping bags every spring. Safer palms abound. Try a ponytail palm or areca palm instead. The ponytail's swollen base and long, arching leaves give that same sculptural feel, while the areca offers feathery fronds that soften any corner. Both appreciate the well-draining soil mix you can blend with perlite and compost from your own bin. Water sparingly, let them dry between drinks, and they'll reward you with steady growth that supports a peaceful home. Place them near a south window in northern Europe during the short days of winter, and they'll bring a bit of sunshine indoors without any hidden cost. Out in the garden again, some of us crave bold, architectural foliage to fill empty corners fast. Castor Bean Plant delivers exactly that. Enormous star-shaped leaves the size of dinner plates, often tinged with red or bronze, and unusual spiky seed pods that rise like tiny lanterns. It grows with astonishing speed in warm summers, turning a new bed into a tropical screen by midsummer. In parts of the southern US or warmer European pockets, it's sometimes sold as an annual accent for its dramatic presence and ability to shade out weeds. The seeds, however, contain ricin, one of nature's most potent natural toxins. Just a few can cause severe illness in a child or pet, interfering with the body's ability to build proteins and leading to organ stress. The shiny seeds look almost like harmless beans, which adds to the worry when they drop in autumn. I once watched a community garden group in a Midwestern town decide together to remove every last one after a child's playful discovery. The lesson stuck. Beauty should never come with that kind of edge. For the same leafy impact without the risk, elephant ears or canna lilies step in beautifully. Their broad leaves shimmer in the breeze and the cannas throw in tall spikes of fiery flowers that hummingbirds can't resist. Plant the tubers in rich, moist soil once the ground warms in late spring, and they'll spread into lush clumps that you can divide and share with neighbors the following year. In cooler zones, lift the tubers in autumn and store them like dahlias. Simple routines that fit right into the seasonal rhythm of sustainable gardening. Companion plant with marigolds at the base to keep soil pests at bay naturally, and you've created a border that works with the earth rather than against it. Spring wouldn't feel complete without the burst of colour from azaleas and rhododendrons. These evergreen shrubs blanket hillsides and front yards from the Pacific Northwest to the rolling gardens of Scotland in clouds of pink, lavender, crimson and white. They love the acidic soil many of us already build with pine needles and oak leaf mulch, blooming so profusely that neighbourhoods glow for weeks. Nurseries stock them heavily because they're reliable, long-lived, and transform tired landscapes overnight. Inside those leaves and nectar, though, grey-anotoxins can disrupt nerve signals, leading to nausea, low blood pressure, or more serious effects in larger amounts. Pets grazing on fallen blooms or children brushing against the foliage might experience drooling, weakness, or digestive upset. Stories surface every spring: dogs in suburban yards, curious goats on small homesteads, reminding us that even beloved landscape staples deserve a second look. In humid regions where these thrive, the risk lingers longer because the plants hold their leaves year-round. Happier choices for that spring spectacle include camellias or viburnums. Camellias offer glossy foliage and rose-like blooms that last for months, while viburnums bring fragrant clusters followed by berries that feed birds through winter. Both appreciate the same acidic, well-drained beds you'd prepare for rhododendrons, and they layer beautifully with hostas and ferns underneath for a shady woodland corner that supports local wildlife. In European gardens, viburnums often shrug off late frosts better than more tender exotics, giving you reliable colour even in unpredictable springs. And then there are the lilies, those elegant sentinels of summer and holiday tables. Tall stems carry trumpet blooms in white, orange or soft pink, filling the air with a sweet, almost spicy fragrance that feels luxurious. Florists and garden centres push them for Easter, weddings and simple bouquets because nothing else quite matches their grace. Many of us pot them up or bring cut stems inside, placing them where the light catches the petals just so. For cats, though, even a brush of pollen on fur followed by a grooming lick can trigger rapid kidney damage. The water in the vase carries the same risk, and symptoms, vomiting, lethargy, loss of appetite, can appear within hours. I've sat with friends in both American and European households who learned this the heartbreaking way during festive seasons, rushing to emergency vets while the lilies still stood beautiful on the mantel. Dogs fare better but can still suffer stomach issues. The universality of the danger across true lilies makes them one to skip if feline friends share your home. Orchids or roses offer that same refined beauty without the shadow. Orchids bring exotic shapes and long-lasting blooms to windowsills, thriving in the bark mixes you can blend at home with a bit of charcoal for drainage. Roses, especially the old-fashioned, fragrant varieties, fill borders with colour and scent while feeding bees and providing hips for winter bird food. Both fit seamlessly into organic routines: a weekly seaweed feed, good air circulation, and companion planting with garlic or chives to keep fungal issues at bay naturally. Of course, these aren't the only plants worth a thoughtful pause. Hydrangeas, with their massive mophead blooms that shift from pink to blue depending on soil pH, contain compounds that can release traces of cyanide if large amounts are eaten, rare but worth knowing for households with nibblers. Monkshood, sometimes called the queen of poisons, sends up regal spikes of deep blue or purple in shady borders. Its roots and leaves carry aconitine, potent enough that even skin contact without gloves can cause tingling. Philodendrons, those reliable climbers and trailers for indoor shelves, share the calcium oxalate family with dumb cane, causing mouth irritation rather than catastrophe, but still prompting a vet visit on occasion. The real gift of awareness is the chance to build gardens that celebrate life fully. Start by reading labels and scientific names before you buy. 10 seconds at the nursery can save months of worry. If you already have one of these plants and decide it's time to part ways, do it gently, wear gloves, bag the clippings securely, and dispose of them in household waste rather than compost. Replant the space with the safer alternatives we've talked about, enriching the soil first with your own compost to give the new residents the best possible start. Think about the rhythms of your own climate too. In the short, cool summers of Northern Europe or the upper Midwest, focus on hardy perennials and natives that return year after year without fuss. In warmer, humid zones of the American Southeast or coastal Spain, choose drought-tolerant companions that conserve water and reduce the need for chemical sprays. Everywhere, companion planting becomes your quiet ally. Nasturtiums trailing at the base of taller plants to trap aphids. Marigolds releasing natural compounds that discourage soil pests, and herbs like basil or thyme drawing beneficial insects while seasoning your kitchen. A safe garden isn't sterile. It's alive with the hum of bees, the flutter of butterflies, and the contented snuffles of pets exploring without fear. It's the satisfaction of harvesting the first tomato from soil you've nurtured, knowing every creature under your care is protected. It's the small daily rituals, turning the compost, pinching back spent blooms, noting which plants the ladybugs prefer, that stitch us back into the web of the living world. So the next time you head to the nursery, carry this quiet knowledge with you. Let it guide your hands as you choose plants that will grow alongside your family and four-legged friends for years to come. The earth beneath us is generous when we listen. It rewards patience, curiosity, and care with harvests of colour, fragrance, and peace. May your own garden become exactly that, a place where beauty and safety bloom together, season after season, root by loving root.